Running a business can be like sailing through a storm with choppy waters, right? It with the obstacles that entrepreneurs face, it's easy to get lost or run aground with rapid market changes, fierce competition, uncertain economics. Man, just get out there and do the thing. Live a purpose-driven life and figure out what you don't want to do so you can do more of what you do want to do. And then do it. I think the number one thing would be to be humble enough to ask for feedback and brave enough to make the changes.
Hi, and welcome to The Wired Wisdom. My name is Jan, and I am the host of this podcast. If you listen like really every week or every second week when I upload the new video, you probably see that we talk a lot about AI. We talk a lot about tools. Last time it was a podcast about automation, right, and AI agents when I talked with David. And today I have another special guest, little bit different discussion today, still about AI, but we will cover also some business marketing or marketing strategy. So, hi, Courtney. Welcome to the Wired Wisdom.
Hey, Jan. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
I'm happy to have you. We just discussed some preparation, right? Like some questions I have, and so on. And I already mentioned that you are a business strategist and business advisor. This is what I found on your profile. I see that you are working for a Compass Rose Consultants. Is that correct? Did
Correct.
I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm,
All right. Okay. Correct. So, yeah.
I'm actually the founder and lead consultant with the organization.
And lead. Okay. This you see. You haven't. I haven't found that information on your LinkedIn though.
I may have buried the
So,
lead with that one.
okay. Okay. That's interesting. So, Courtney, as I said, welcome to my podcast. I'm really happy to have you here. And let's jump straight in. Like, can you share a little bit with our audience and the listeners? Like, what is your expertise
Sure.
and what do you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the lead strategist at Compass Rose Consultants, and what we do is work with small businesses, entrepreneurs, and upstarts to develop their businesses. And that business development, we look at analyzing the organization, how they're doing operations. We look at what strategies are in place and how they can really grow in a stable, profitable way. Sometimes it's entrepreneurs come in and they're just uncertain about where they want to go or how to launch a business. They have this great idea and they want to do it, all the want to and all the knowledge of actually doing the work, but not how to take those next steps and navigating the complexities of building a business. That's where we come in. Sometimes it's small businesses that are just at that plateau that you hit right before jumping into a mid-sized organization. And a lot of times what needs to happen is professional development. Sometimes it's the entrepreneur needs to really evolve in what they're doing. So they're no longer running the business, because what happens is the business ends up running them and they can let go and stop being in the middle of supervising and management. And we help guide them and really support them in those next
Mm-hmm.
steps. Do you mind if I share the presentation that I have?
That would be awesome.
Perfect. Let's see. So this is us, Compass Rose Consultants, business coaching and development. So you can see business coaching, business analysis, strategic planning, as well as professional development. We're a small business development which ensures stability and growth. Navigating to success, business success, we help small businesses and entrepreneurs chart the course for stable, profitable growth. Running a business can be like sailing through a storm with choppy waters, right? With the obstacles that entrepreneurs face, it's easy to get lost or run aground with rapid market changes, fierce competition, uncertain economics. I mean, there's all kinds of things that can really make it challenging. So business coaching brings new perspectives. These fresh perspectives help in problem solving, decision making, and productivity. What we'll do is we help redefine the terms that you hear every day. Like all too often, you hear strategy and tactics used interchangeably, but they're actually really specific. So, defining strategy would be defined long term objectives and overarching plan to reach them. Whereas, so this is like what sets your course, right? Whereas tactics are
Mhm.
the really
Right.
specific, detailed action plans, the best practices, and resource allocations to reach those set goals. So they keep you go like sailing smoothly. These are like the fine day to day, how we actually do the thing that will get us to the long term goal that really aligns with our missions and vision. So, personally, at our organization, our focus is on sustainable growth, the kind that doesn't burn you out or deplete your resources. Think of
Mm.
it like a North Star guiding your business decisions. So, our process starts with business analysis. We need to understand who it is you are. What's your business identity, the vision, the mission, current operations, what's working for you, what's not, right? And then we help define the goals to be clear and measurable and certainly achievable, not just way too far out there. Yes, shoot for the moon. I mean, shoot for the stars, you'll land on the moon. But we also want to make sure that these are achievable goals and that we can measure them, making sure that they stay in line with the mission and the vision. Um, Next, we'll go through creating a strategic growth plan. So these are the defined steps with goals, including marketing strategies. And marketing strategies have their own plans with them. So that's a whole other
Mm.
piece that fits neatly into your business plan. Execution is where you actually go out and do the thing, but you don't do it alone. We also include tracking and optimization. So we'll be monitoring progress, making sure that you have KPIs in place to help with that, to evaluate how effective these tactics are in getting you to your end result, to your objectives, and making sure that we're making adjustments based on the feedback that we get from consumers, from you, internal and
Mm-hmm.
external clients.
Mm-hmm.
So a little bit about me.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I have over 15 years of professional experience in marketing, sales, and business. My undergraduate degree is from Southeastern Louisiana University, and it was in psychology, where I did some really great studies in industrial organization and statistics, definitely applied statistics, which I use those plus my experience in business for over a decade to really hone in on the keys of success. So, my personal values have led me to seek ways that I can lead a purpose filled life with compassion, with kindness, with love. And in doing so, I've also lent my expertise as a volunteer at multiple nonprofit organizations who make
Mm-hmm.
positive, long lasting impacts on local communities. In some capacities, that's been as an executive board director, and other capacities, it's been as a board advisor. What I've seen is that a lot of companies
Mm-hmm.
succeed and fail based on how they approach operations. So, like, I get a lot of joy out of going in and getting in the weeds with all of the foundational issues and really finding those blind spots, helping bridge the gaps, and making sure that the priorities are on things that are going to move things forward for growth. So that's what I have for you. Thank you so much for listening. Uh, yeah, feel
Yeah.
free to
Thanks
reach
for
out.
the. Yeah. Definitely leave that on the screen for now. And yeah, I will also include all the information you just mentioned and your contact in the description of the podcast. So let's go a little bit back. And I'm an entrepreneur and a small business owner myself. I run a digital agency where we help small and medium-sized businesses, to achieve their goals in a digital space. Meaning, we help them with email marketing, we help them with social media presence. What else is there? We do SEO, which I'm like really, taking care of myself because I consider myself as an SEO expert.
Nice.
So I like to position those businesses. And from what I see here is that you actually do the one step prior that process. So to me, the clients came already with a business plan.
Hmm.
They already have their business, right? And they just tell me, "Oh, Jan, can you position us so we can, jump through the Google, for example, and we can appear in the first three places, right?"
Right.
That's the job of the SEOs and digital marketing when we want to really bring some growth. So how do you do that? Like, what's the business strategy in just very quick, couple of words? And How do you know that a person or a business actually needs a business strategy?
Yeah. Well, I would say that having a business strategy is fundamental to success. It's something like it's over 60% of companies that don't have a business strategy fail to thrive within the first 5 years. And that's where we start to see studies that, 90% of companies fail within the first 5 years. I don't think that's an accurate statistic, but there is a huge correlation between whether or not you have a business strategy and or not. In just a few words, a business
Hmm.
strategy is
Hmm.
a set of long term goals by which you measure success. That's it. It's
Hmm.
the map.
Yeah.
You're here. Here's the dot where you want to be, and there's a basic course that from point A to point B. Right? It's measurable. We can see it. We
Yeah.
don't know how we're going to do it, but we have some ideas. Right? Um, and I think
Yeah. Hmm.
anybody starting out, any business starting out is they know where they want to be. They have these dreams. Like you don't go into entrepreneurship without passion and dedication, and you certainly don't survive without dedication and tenacity, right? But having an understanding of where you want to be allows you to redirect when you've gotten off course. Because otherwise, you can waste
Hmm.
time, sweat equity, financial resources going way off course. If you don't know where you're going, you don't know that you have completely gotten yourself lost.
Yeah. I can totally understand that and feel that. I consider myself to be as a generalist, and that's from the book called The Range, right? And I strongly recommend, if anybody is listening and would like to develop and learn something about him or herself. So I'm a generalist, and I always had an issue to to stay on the track. So my business strategy actually changes as I do. So whenever I feel like, oh, this is a good project for me, I do it. And whenever I feel that, oh, maybe I should rebrand myself and do AI, for example, this is what I did 2 years ago, then I again jump on the train, right?
Yeah.
So I have issues. So what would be your tip besides, like definitely a consulting or a coaching session with the client? Just a very quick tip for people like me who don't know exactly what they want, like.
I think sometimes the most important thing is to ask yourself why you want to do that. Because normally you say, oh, this is very cool. Well, ask yourself why again. Why? Why do you want to do that? Yeah, it's cool. There's lots of cool things out there that you're not doing, that you don't want to do. What is it about this? In fact, Jan, let's do this.
Mhm.
Let's do this little thought experiment. There's something new that you've just started that you want to do. Why?
So we do that with the right question, and because I'm also a coach myself, a business coach as well, I like to ask actually open questions. I like to go to the why,
Mm.
but I'm always better in providing services to my clients than to myself. I don't know if it makes sense to you,
Amen.
but
100%. All coaches need
hundred
coaches.
percent
Can we just coach each other?
exactly.
Because
Yeah, exactly.
accountability is a big part of that.
you
Deadlines.
know when I started in digital marketing, I was not sure what I want, right?
Yeah.
The direction I want to go first. So there was a website called Good Coach PL, a Polish domain. And so that was a website, like a listing of the coaches from the country.
Mhm.
Majority of that coaches were coaching each other instead of really having like real clients. So it was like always 150 coaches recommend this coach to be coached on or coached with. So
Right.
it was so funny. And I still remember that one. So business coaches, definitely. And now the question, what sets you apart? Like, what's your why, and how do you differentiate yourself with the Compass Rose consultants, compared to any other coach on the market?
For sure. I just real quick, I do want to circle back to that first one. When we ask why, the idea to get to the underlining question is so that if they're trying to find financial freedom or flexibility in their
Mhm.
time, you have to want that, you have to see it. And serial entrepreneurship sometimes doesn't come out of failure because the business was a failure. It was because the drive wasn't really there, or the desire did not align with what the goals were. And that motivation is what it really is. Finding that,
Mm.
uncovering that is absolutely key. So what sets me apart, I mean, I really genuinely care. I so deeply care. And while I think that all business folks do care about their clients, I'm in it to truly help people. And I spend most of my time learning, studying, exploring more,
Hmm.
delving deeper. And it's so that I can be the expert in all the different areas, not because I can ever know it all, but because when someone comes to me with a question or a thought, I've already been curious and I want to be more curious and I want to engage that conversation so that we can explore and I can help. But helping isn't just let me do this for you. It's let me teach, let me get curious with you. Let me teach you the questions that I've asked that helped me down paths that were helpful. It's that concept of, do you teach a man to fish or do you give a man a fish, right? With what we're
Yeah.
building, we spend a lot of time making sure that the people are cared for. Sometimes in business coaching, you'll hear them say that too. Don't coach the problem, coach the person. But it's 100% true. Like, if you care, you will do the right thing for the right reasons. And it's that simple.
Mm.
Sometimes I think people get caught up in the problems or the business and the technical aspects, and they lose sight of that person at the end of
Hmm.
everything. And business is people. It's community. This is a network. We're not alone on this world. We're all in it together. If I help this business supports my community gives back to my community. We
Hmm.
all thrive.
Hmm.
I see that big picture.
Yeah.
I'm a top down, bottom up thinker, baby. I can think both ways, and I've discovered that's a weird thing. Most people, it's either or.
But
But yeah,
yeah,
I think it's that world
and you know
perspective.
what? I really like the last part you said about the community. That's on my list. I'm currently like trying to build up a community here in Poland of entrepreneurs and business people
Yeah.
who have the same, like issues. They somehow lost that North Star. They don't know where they are heading, or they bought a new company, for example, and they need to adjust the marketing, and they are coming, with all those questions. But still, I believe that the power is within the community. I believe that we all know something,
Mhm.
and sometimes it's just there is the really nice picture about that man digging in a cave to find the diamonds, and he stops right before he find them, right?
Yeah.
So this is why I believe that in community you actually can overcome that last step,
Yeah.
because somebody already knows the answer.
Right.
So I believe that sharing is also caring, and then there is a huge knowledge in communities.
Yes, that 100%. Get on that soapbox, my friend. Yes. Well, and they say many hands make light work, right? If that man wasn't in the cave digging for himself, if he had 10, 20 other people digging with him, it'd be so easy and they'd all have riches. And that's it.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
it. That's it at the end of the
Exactly.
day. Like, I think too, I have a spiritual base myself that teaches me to come from a place of abundance, not a place of lack,
Mhm.
right? And when I give with my whole heart, I I'm not doing it to get anything back, but I'm not afraid of losing all of it. And as a result, people see that authenticity and really
Mhm.
respond to it.
Mhm.
And it holds space for people to just show up and be real. And you know what? We end up getting a lot more work done. We on ourselves, on
Mhm.
our
Mhm.
businesses, on our families, in our endeavors in general, because it matters. I think it matters so much. I think somewhere along the lines, like the world, not the world, not everybody. There are
Mhm.
whole communities who got it right. I just,
Yeah.
a lot of us got it wrong for years. We were raised in communities where that wasn't the case. And I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to make it cool again.
Mm. Yeah, that's a good one. So we jump into the podcast with the introduction of what you do, right? We have some, or we figure out your why. We know what sets you apart from the other coaches, and basically, I also have a question like, uh, what would be your best tips for people? Definitely to hire you if like if there is a business owner and entrepreneur who need help, I will give you contact with Courtney. So please go to her directly. But in general, like, what would be your like tips you can share
Yeah.
from your experience?
Yeah. I think the number one thing would be to be humble enough to ask for feedback and brave enough to make the changes. And maybe it's brave on both ends, because you have to be brave to put yourself out there and say, "Hey, I did this thing, or I have this big idea." And when you invite feedback, yeah, you're inviting some good news. But what if it's not so good yet? What if you have some opportunities to grow, right? Where we have some
Hmm.
obstacles we didn't know were there, or maybe some we took some missteps. But doing that is the only way you can tighten things up and improve. And if I've learned anything from my husband, it has been to fail quickly. I
Hmm.
watched him through college excel, and we took the same classes, and he and I just had very different ways of doing it. That about I applied to my studies, and I was just kept to where I was supposed to. I was always nose in a book right before the test, making sure I had every last piece. When it came to ceramics, I was polishing up that ceramic before it went in the first firing. And anyone who knows, you don't see it mostly, but it changes the properties of the clay at the fundamental level so that when you glaze it, it's shiny, so shiny. And he didn't
Yeah.
worry about any of that. But what he did was he tried new techniques so fast. He produced
Hmm.
20 times more things than we did. And he got better
Hmm.
every time. He wasn't afraid to make mistakes. He got out there.
Hmm.
We stood in
Hmm.
front of the entire class. I would have two or three things, and they were better than most of the class because I really buckled in. But this SOB, he he'd have like 20 things, and he'd be like, "Bring on the feedback." And we would critique him, and we'd say things like, "Well, maybe you should do this with the clay, or maybe you should do that with the clay." Mind you, it's
Hmm.
fired. It's hard as a rock. It's never changing again. But really,
Yeah.
we were teaching him what we saw, that new perspective,
Hmm.
gaining that perspective.
Hmm.
And he just went out and made 20 more things. And at first, his surfaces were terrible. But then he made things much
Hmm.
bigger than mine, and his
Hmm.
surfaces were getting better. Still say he has room, opportunity to grow there. but but I watched him surpass me and all of our peers by such large margins. And it wasn't because he was innately better than us. He wasn't. He
Hmm.
was just so brave and so willing to just put himself out there and do the
Hmm.
thing. And I have
Hmm.
taken that throughout my career, and he completely transformed my life with that. That is the wisdom that I would give to everyone else. Put yourself out there,
Hmm.
ask for the feedback,
Hmm.
make the changes. I had this friend who was a punk, and he'd be like, "Oh man, that idea sucked," about his own stuff. And I totally own that now. And I make everyone uncomfortable because they'll be like, "Oh, yeah, my idea was terrible." And they're like, "No, it wasn't bad." I'm like, "Nah, it does. I don't have to love my idea. Like, there's something better. Like, let go, right?" And maybe that's part of
Yeah.
it. Let go easily, move on
Hmm.
quickly. So, yeah, make mistakes, fail quickly, keep at it.
You are talking from my heart because I totally feel it. I can tell you that I changed a lot of things in the past, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. I opened a small organic growth digital agency within my agency. I put 12 months of my life on that project, but I was not afraid to close it. When I felt that it doesn't grow, it doesn't bring any value, it doesn't bring any money, I just close it. And people were like sometimes asking like, "Oh, why you did that? Like, why didn't you try for too longer or to to keep it open longer?" And I said, like, there was no point. I want to try something else because, I'm not afraid to close it. Like, I don't dwell on things.
Mm,
I like to, just close the chapter, put it into the drawer and then thank you very much. I do something else. So, and maybe it's a good thing.
yeah.
I don't know. But I totally feel that when I try 20 things, as your husband did,
Hmm.
I might learn something else. I might, polish other diamonds than
Yeah.
just one because I will learn other things throughout the path.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's awesome.
definitely a
Absolutely.
good.
Oh,
Yeah.
and there's something to be said for that.
Yeah.
And I would like to argue with you
Yeah.
for a moment. I don't think it was
Yeah.
valueless. If you went in, you learned a lot of what didn't work, you know not to do that again. You could tell others, well,
Yep.
this is what I tried and it wasn't successful.
Hmm.
That insight, that's valuable. That has a lot of value. And even if you've
Yep.
learned what you don't want to do, hey, isn't that valuable
Hmm.
too? And the fact that
Yep.
you didn't lean into it for 3, 5, 10 years, when you're like, yeah, I'm not making money. That's my motivation. I don't really need to hold on to this particular thing. I'm going to move on. That might have been exactly the right thing to
Hmm.
do. Maybe that's a stepping stone to success, not the end goal,
Hmm.
but certainly a launching pad. I mean, it's just so much
Yeah.
opportunity to learn, you know? So I'm going to argue there
Definitely.
was value there, and that maybe knowing where your limits are, what doesn't interest you, is
Hmm.
as important as knowing what
Hmm.
does.
Exactly. And I can totally confirm that because I wrote a blog post about that experience. It's still on my website, so people can read it. I can include the link if somebody is interested. There are the failures, and that definitely it opened my mind to other things. I took a break. Probably 2 or 3 months. I did almost nothing. I was like trying to discover new me throughout that sports and rest and the family time and so on.
Yeah.
But then I jumped on the on the AI. So the first tools with AI, Writesonic, Jasper, and so on, all those writing assistant came out.
Mhm.
And today, 2 years after, I am living this dream or this path, right? So
Yeah.
I am already on a good path, and I believe that I will stay with this for a while. And it happened because I was not afraid to close that one. So definitely
Nice.
something valuable in
Oh, I
that.
love it. I love it. That's a success story. I don't
And
know what you're
speak
talking about.
Yeah, definitely. I like to see it like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, as you said, there was some value in it
Yeah,
in that
yeah.
learning. And talking about the AI, the podcast is about the AI. Usually, I have, as I said, guests who are experienced in AI, and I believe that you do have some experience as well,
I
right?
do. Yeah. So, I will say that my introduction to AI, where I was really aware that I was trying to learn something new, and I realized that this was a big deal and that it was something that I wanted to explore, was probably ChatGPT. We just call it Chatty because that's too hard to say. And I started exploring it and using it as a teaching tool. And I know that's not the way a lot of people use it,
Hmm.
but I got involved in these homeschool groups on Facebook, and they were trying to find creative ways to use ChatGPT and other AIs
Hmm.
to engage their students. And just to give a little background, my nonprofit work, some of it has been with youth STEM education or STEAM education, science, technology,
Hmm.
engineering, art, and math. And
Hmm.
most of our students were neurodivergent. They were just hardwired differently. What I discovered is
Hmm.
that dyslexic people are superheroes when it comes to engineering. That if I found out a kid had dyslexia, I was out there trying to recruit them for robotics. And my
Hmm.
own oldest child is definitely neurodivergent, very they consider her profoundly gifted, which has its own obstacles. She's a voracious reader. So what I did is I would
Hmm.
type in to ChatGPT and I would say, tell me a story about George Washington. Say it from first person, use the language of the era, but at a 10-year-old reading level. And then I'd
Hmm.
say, tell the story in a way that would engage me to answer some questions so I can pick some directions about which story you tell. Make it based on
Hmm.
historical stories, um, and refer to me as you, and ask me 5 questions and then finish it up.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
what would happen is I would put my child in front of this and it would say, "Hello, I'm George Washington," and it would speak like or Middle English. And then it would say, chopping down the cherry tree, well, that's actually a rumor. Let me tell you the real story, what happened. And then it'd say, which story would you like? And then it would say these three of real
Mhm.
historical pieces.
Mhm.
And so my child was fully
Mhm.
engaged in history. She was seeing what American history might have actually been like
Mhm.
and was just so fully engaged. And I'm like, this is it. This is great. And so then I was like, well, how can I use this for my business? Because at the time I was volunteering and had thousands of hours under my belt, and my tracking was horrendous. I had just had like, this is so, talk about like the shoemaker never has shoes, you know, shoemaker's kids never have shoes. I did not have a spreadsheet for the hours that I was putting in. I was just on a sticky note on my screen. Just today, I worked this many hours. Today, this many. This is what I was
Mhm.
doing. And I'm like, okay, Chatty,
Mhm.
I need a spreadsheet. These are the things that are important. And I'm just going to drop
Mhm.
this data set in. And I spoke
Mhm.
to it like it was a 2-year old because I'm a mom. I know how to talk to a 2-year old. I was like, I don't know how AI works, but I can talk to a 2-year old, and it was beautiful. But then I realized it was putting some information in weird places, and I was like, okay, well, go back.
Mhm.
Remember, this is the example of how to do this, because that's what I would do with my own child.
Mhm.
Well, you're a clever monkey child, like you know how a cup works. You've seen me. Let me show you. Cup, drink, here. Oh yes, now you replicate.
Yeah.
Perfect, perfect. And then I
Yes.
say good job, which I say good job to Chatty, because either it takes it in and it matters, or it doesn't, but I'd rather be nice to my future overlords. You know, if in case they ever
If
take
you,
over, I was polite. Um,
they will remember that, right?
right. So I got it to do this thing. And then I started showing some people that I know, and they've been using AI for months and could not believe what I got it to
Mm.
do. And I was like, well, this is easy. It thinks the way I think. And I'm like, oh, this is so great. A bunch of nerds program ChatGPT or GPT. People are going to, neurotypicals are going to have to learn how to talk like us. And then we'll rule the world. This is great. This is great. It's not so challenging for us. Y'all are having the struggle. I'm like, this is it. I can do this.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a prompt engineer.
Oh, you already
All
are.
right. And so I jumped into it, and it led me down a path of a marketing course, the Secret AI
Mhm.
Society. I'm not even getting paid for that plug. It
Oh.
was just really good. And I didn't know what to make of that, but I went ahead and leaned in, and they were teaching us how to use Midjourney, and it was
Mhm.
changing and upgrading as fast as we were learning how to do it, which was extraordinary, but I was in the midst of it, so I
Mhm.
really didn't understand that,
Mm.
like, AI had been 10 years in the making in this generative art AI. Like, just for those who don't know,
Mhm.
Midjourney has been fed data sets of images and imagery. And yes, you can
Mhm.
speak to it in plain language, but you can also get very technical and give it, if you're trying to get a photograph, what style photograph, what era, what
Mhm.
DPI do you want to use? If you're a photographer, that is an amazing,
Mhm.
powerful tool that you can use.
Mhm. Mhm.
More than that, what I learned was, as an artist, you can feed your own art into it so that it knows your style, and then you can back up and draw doodles, right? Like little stick men, and say, okay,
Mm.
great. Now make this and then explain the story. And it would do it. And it would be little
Mhm.
stick people. And then it'd say, okay, great. Now use my artwork. And it would make my artwork look like everything I just designed. So it was
Mhm.
100% me
Mhm.
designed, but like Photoshop in terms of tools, you know? And that was powerful. We started using
Mhm.
that and integrating AI with photography and imagery of ourselves. And I have some background with SEO, so I started using other
Mhm.
programs to just try to explore. But I mean, that's kind of where I got kicked off, which does not sound like just business. Today, yes, I use a
Mhm.
lot of Chatty. I've been exploring
Mhm.
Perplexity. That's been an interesting one lately.
Mhm. Interesting. Mhm.
Canva, constantly in Canva. Canva has some really
Mhm.
neat AI
Mhm.
already mixed in, but we have it integrated in so many places of our lives. Like Grammarly,
Mhm.
I don't know. It's on my phone. I don't know how it got there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's integrated into Bing now. The new Samsung cell phones. I was excited when the launch came out this year. Apple didn't even have something coming out with with AI in it, and their whole phone was already integrated. So, like,
Mhm.
mind you, for me, I've only really been utilizing AI in a serious way since about November of 2023. But I
Hmm.
mean, in AI world, this is a lifetime. And to really back
Yeah,
up,
definitely.
yeah, and I started taking classes. There's free business courses in my region, and you
Hmm.
can access them online. So I just started learning
Hmm.
all the things, taking everything, and
Hmm.
discovering that
Hmm.
AI in some form or another has been around since like 1993. Like I remember the
Hmm.
90s. That was before Google. How even is that true?
Yeah.
And the LLMs and whatnot. So
Hmm.
today I see programs. I want to say ClearPoint Strategy has a really great tool that has AI incorporated
Hmm.
into it, where you put your
Hmm.
data. You can take your whole spreadsheet and upload it. Same with
Hmm.
Chatty, but this one's a visual program. You feed it in, and
Hmm.
it will analyze all the data points that you put in, and then you have to follow its rules because again, it's
Hmm.
pretty particular. But once you get it, it will show you the trends, optimizations. It'll make suggestions about how to alter your business. There are things
Hmm.
on the back end that if uh, I don't remember,
Yeah,
I just
that's
that
fine.
train crashed. I don't know. I pictured it and then I
No,
forgot what
no
I was
worries.
thinking.
No worries. I will jump in right into Midjourney. Midjourney is one of the tools I am using almost daily. I am not sure how people can use, for example, DALI
Mhm.
3 within
Mhm.
ChatGPT because the difference is so huge when you prompt engineer or like
Yeah,
write a proper prompt into ChatGPT and you say create a minimalistic logo in 3 lines, for example, a red dot award, whatever. You feed it into ChatGPT, and then you feed the same prompt into Midjourney. The results are totally
they
different.
are.
I love Midjourney, and since you are using Midjourney only for a couple of months, I believe that you jumped into Midjourney, which is now definitely on the top.
Yeah.
I believe that there is not so much space; it can be improved. They always add new features, right? In the Midjourney, so it develops. But in general, it creates amazing images.
It
Like
does.
I am not sure, like if I will go back to ChatGPT uh, for image generation. Also, I am actually saying kind of goodbye to ChatGPT because we have Claude AI.
Mm.
I'm not sure if you tried it, and I use it for. It's already 3 weeks, and I already subscribed to Pro subscription because it's so good that I'm speechless. I today I have seen actually a study about IQ of ChatGPT and Claude.
Hmm.
Claude has IQ from the study around 101 IQ, 100 points, and ChatGPT 85,
Okay.
which is not so much. Yeah,
So just for reference point, again, my background being
yeah,
psychology, 100 is average. That's absolutely
yeah,
average for a
exactly.
person. So 85 is like high
Yeah.
functioning individual with challenges, right? So
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
really interesting, and that's two standard deviations. That means a lot to me.
You
Interesting.
see, and and basically that study was really also an eye opener because sometimes people probably think that ChatGPT is so mighty that it has like IQ 300, right? It can solve every
Yeah.
problem, and we can just get rid of talking to other people. We can do everything, right? There are ways of how we can leverage AI in a better ways, and this is something I discovered just throughout one of the podcasts here that we can do automatic or build automatic agents. So whenever you do something, as you say, like you feed up the data
Mhm.
and create an Excel spreadsheet for, I don't know, your hours and data, right? Then yeah, it can help. 10 years ago when I was working as a retail training manager, I was having an Excel spreadsheet filled with whatever data. I couldn't, like write any formula for that one to calculate the basics. I need to learn everything from the scratch. Today, when I have an issue and I need, I don't know, to adjust whatever calculation, when I need to compare data in SEO, I just go to ChatGPT or to Claude. I feed the data in and I say, like, now give me, I don't know, results for those 2 columns
Yeah.
and calculate the average and whatever I need there, and it's done. Then I copy the formula into the spreadsheet and it works. And I'm like, okay, thank you very much. I always, I'm
Yeah.
always so polite because I know that they are learning about me. But in general, you mentioned many tools and how you use it. Like, what's the way of you using AI for work?
For work. Yeah. Well, so
Mm-hmm.
I will go into that real quick to piggyback in. Feeding spreadsheets into these AI is great, but understanding how they function on their digital neural pathways is that it's very
Mm-hmm.
randomized. They reach out and grab what general things and trends they see as
Mm-hmm.
being our tactics. Sometimes they're really bad at math. And Chatty is
Mm-hmm.
absolutely terrible. It's not designed for that. And knowing
Yes.
which tool to use to and how to use it for what it's designed for. Chatty was designed to be creative. We talk about,
Mm-hmm.
oh, there's these hallucinations, right? The AI
Yes,
hallucinations.
AI hallucination.
But when
Correct.
you back up and look at it, like, you're asking it to do something it's not designed to do. It's like asking a 3-year-old to try to make something up because it knows you want this and it knows you gave it
Yes.
data, and it's like, I'm not sure, but these pieces might fit. And no. So I'm very cautious about some of the ways that I use AI in my business. Um,
Mm-hmm.
with chat and Claude, and I'm starting to explore Perplexity. I'm very happy with what I've experienced, but I've
Mm-hmm.
only been using it for a week or
Mm-hmm.
so. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I would feed in things like, I'm building a marketing strategy. These are my goals. What I really want is for people to feel that we are authentic and honest and elegant, and give it these like really emotional pieces. Now that's how I talk to
Mm-hmm.
Chatty, because that's how it likes to
Mm-hmm.
talk. If you talk to Midjourney like that, it is actually
Mm-hmm.
designed to
Mm-hmm.
ignore most of those words, and you won't get the output that
Yes.
you anticipate. They speak different
Mm-hmm.
languages. So
Mm-hmm. That's
I
correct.
do use them differently. It's hard to just, this is how I use it in my business. For Chatty, I would say I'm a small business owner. Well, in my case, I'm a business consultant. I want to build strategies for people. Help me build a business strategy outline that is simplified so
Mm-hmm.
I can hand it over to a client who doesn't know anything about business. Ask
Mm-hmm.
10 questions, make the steps to their answers very simple, and
Mm-hmm.
give me ideas for imagery that I could put with it. And it'll spit out 10 ideas and here's some questions. And I'm like, I don't like that. We're Compass Rose. We're all about navigating people to the right place. Why don't you
Mm-hmm.
make it thematically navigational? And it'll shift all its language.
Mm-hmm.
One time I put in pirate. That was funny. That was very funny. Um, and I can ask it to change its tone. Where I get really clever from the marketing standpoint is where I know that there are other individuals that have styles that I like, and I want to use it as a
Mm-hmm.
think tank. Not because I want to copy
Mm-hmm.
paste. I would never just
Mm-hmm.
copy paste everything over from AI. That's a big one. Ethics is a huge one too. Never ask Midjourney
Mm-hmm.
or AI or anybody else any other things to specifically reproduce a piece of art or copyrighted work. That
Mm-hmm.
is unethical. I don't think that AI has ethics. I don't think that's the right
Mm-hmm.
conversation. We often hear AI ethics. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but
Yes,
we
correct.
keep trying to build that into the AI, and it's a human it's a human thing. So if it's a living working artist, whatever their art, whether it's written or auditory, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I will ask for multiple pieces. I will say the influence of or similar to, never the same thing, which
Mm-hmm.
it really won't give you the same thing
Mm-hmm.
unless you work pretty hard to get it. And I think that needs to be said. That's not said enough. People are very scared of AI, and that's one of
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
things they bring up. You have to work pretty hard
Mm-hmm.
to get an exact replica. But for me, I use it. I'll say, give me a speech that reminds me of something from Tony Robbins and Barack Obama. you know, Very different, but it will blend it together and say, okay,
Mm-hmm.
now
Mm-hmm.
make this topic about
Mm-hmm.
shenanigans. Whatever.
Yeah.
And
Whatever.
and that's
Exactly.
been neat.
Mm-hmm.
So that lends itself to. I mean, I know I'm probably speaking all over your work. because marketing is a big piece of what I do also, but it's more about helping people
Mm-hmm.
learn how to use the tools that they have. And again, asking those right
Mm-hmm.
questions. What lines
Yes.
of thinking do we go down? Well, you can ask for those pieces, and you can have chatty or I think Claude is like this too, where you can save
Mm-hmm.
in your voice. This is what my business is like.
Yeah.
So before I get started on
Mm-hmm.
anything for my organization, I talk about who we are. I put in our mission, I put in our values, I put in our core
Mm-hmm.
principles. I talk
Mm-hmm.
about what we
Mm-hmm.
do, how we help our clients, who our clients are. And I get really
Yep.
specific. I want to be descriptive. Like, who are my clients? My clients are ambitious. They've already decided I want to do this. They're not sitting on a fence. I don't want anyone sitting on a fence. If you're not sure, that's okay. I'm here to help you. But you need to be sure so that we can really dive into the deep
Mm.
end before we get started, because I'm ready to go. Like, I want to help you succeed. So having that
Yep.
clarity and telling it, just tell it all the things, anything you would put
Mm-hmm.
on your homepage, right? But yeah, so
Yep.
that's a lot of where I use it. I use it on the creation of things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Again, there are some programs I'm exploring on the back end for the analytics, but some of them are already
Mm-hmm.
so finessed. I'm like, I just put in the data.
Yeah.
I have to reinvent the wheel
Exactly.
for me.
Yep. And we have a pretty good discussion, I believe. Really interesting. And we, go through many different topics. So, first of all, I would like to say also there is this one more tool you mentioned, and it's Canva. And since I since Canva introduced AI into their workflow, so now you can remove background, you can adjust the bits and pieces of that content, you can change the colors with AI, you can do whatever you want. I stopped using Photoshop, for example, and Lightroom, so I don't edit any more images with Photoshops.
Mm,
So that's number one. And so if somebody is not exploring Canva AI, those features within, then I strongly recommend that one. The second thing I see here is that you are actually pretty similar in using AI or actually Chatty. I call him Chatty as
yeah.
well. So just by the way, that's pretty funny. So I like to refer to my work with AI as really basic, because this is the way how I like it.
Mhm.
This is the way how I talk to the person. This is what I want back as an answer. I don't want, studies. If I want studies, I will go to Perplexity and I choose the academic focus, right?
Okay.
So if I would like to focus on that one. So basically for those discussions, I have the creative moments as well, adjusting the style and tone of voice. I communicate in a simple language. And this is why I like the Claude,
Mhm.
because it really has kind of AI empathy. So it's not apologizing in a way like you feel sometimes from ChatGPT that, hey Jan, yeah, I missed it. I'm really sorry. But Claude is really like, oh, I misread that information, like trying to blame himself instead of me,
Yeah.
because sometimes I have a feeling that ChatGPT is blaming me. Hey, you guy, you misspelled that one word and I don't know what to generate. So,
Yeah.
do yourself or go really take a break. So that's the big difference between the two. And when it comes to businesses, and you say that you feed in a lot of information, right, into, do you use actually the customization feature? Like, do you customize your ChatGPT
I
for
really
that one?
haven't used it much. That's shame on me.
Mhm.
uh, just not familiar enough with that yet. I think that
Okay, so that's something we can.
yeah.
Mhm.
Oh no, I would say I create multiple chats and then I use those.
Yep.
I I
Hmm.
wasn't using it for a little while. A couple months ago, I had stopped just for a short period of time, and then I've only recently
Okay.
started picking back up with it. And back then, it was kind of like there was a hiccup. If you were in the midst of a conversation with it, it would do
Hmm.
real well. And then if you
Hmm.
walked away and came back, it would be on a very different wavelength. So I tried to keep
Hmm.
the chats short and then have it reference old chats. So that tends to be probably a
Okay.
workaround. Again, like I
Hmm.
understand some
Okay.
of how it works, but yeah, if you want to teach me
Yeah.
some things, come on.
Yeah, I can actually. That's what I wanted to say. That we can have another call, on Zoom or whatever
Yeah.
Teams you prefer, where I can show you how to customize it, because the custom instructions between ChatGPT, they change the way how I receive the communication.
Mhm.
So when I want to brainstorm, I can use the general AI, right, or general ChatGPT or
Mhm.
Claude. So yeah, give me 5 ideas on this. Tell me how to improve such a business. Give me some, I don't know, quotes from latest
Mhm.
news when you go to web browsing, right, in ChatGPT. But when I want to create content, and that's to all the content creators who are listening, when you want to create a good content with AI, go and set up your custom instructions. So set up who you are, include your tone, include some snippet of your content you created. So it understands how you really speak and it will give you the answers back. So when I started to create and I instructed my custom or GPT and I customized it, since then, I do not need to rewrite that content so often
Mhm.
because it's almost like I would say it. So it contains those words I'd use. It uses simple, non-native English, speaker English and so on. So it's definitely something I recommend. The second thing, what I would do, I would try to discover and look into creating a chatbot or a custom GPT within. So we know those are the custom
Mhm.
GPTs you can like even have for yourself, or you can publish them into GPT
Yeah.
store. I just posted a post on LinkedIn about using custom GPTs for onboarding. And I believe that same strategy and methodology can be used anywhere. So you can feed the data in, right? You create the chatbot really simple in the
Mhm.
navigation. You feed whatever library you have. So if it's a 500 pages long PDF, it doesn't matter. You feed it in, you give it instructions, and you save it. So each bot can be a new client, right?
Right.
And what it does, it doesn't have those later. It doesn't have those AI hallucinations,
Mhm.
right? So it continues always because it's the bot you trained
Mhm.
on, right,
Right.
on that content. So that's the second. And third, I am pretty new into AI automatization and building bots. But I already see a big benefit. There is a tool, I know this from other guests, make.com. And that's something you can use to make.com. I see that
Thank
you are
you.
already looking
I know. I
into
was
that
like, "What
one.
is it?" I'll
So
type it in.
yeah,
I'll look at it
yeah.
later.
Make.com is a Czech company. They are actually from Prague, so like a local business kind
Yeah.
of from just far from the border. But the make.com will allow you to automate that, business strategy creation.
Mhm.
So I can imagine that you have the library again, then you have different modules, you can build it in, you can adjust the tone of voice, and you can automatize, and you say like, okay, this is my new client, this is everything you need. You click the button and you say run, like you run that bot or agent, and at the end in 5 minutes you have the whole business strategy,
Right.
right?
Right.
So there's also a way how you can use AI. So I would say those are the three
Mhm.
stages. So the first one is definitely start with custom instructions in your
Mhm.
ChatGPT, then move into creating bots for whatever you need, like a special GPTs or custom GPTs. And if not, then do the automation part,
Yeah.
right? So automatize that content creation.
I
Yeah.
absolutely think that's great. I know bots are something that I've tried to explore in the past. I highly recommend them to my clients. It's not as necessary for me yet, but that's certainly, I think that's the future right there. I will say
Yeah.
when it comes to creating business strategies with AI, just heed it with a little bit of, caution,
Mm-hmm.
because knowing the right things to put in and understanding what
Mm-hmm.
you're looking at as it comes out is incredibly
Mm-hmm.
important. I've used a lot of different
Mm-hmm.
tools. I've dabbled in a lot of different things. And I've mentioned a couple here, which I like them,
Yeah.
but there is that human element is still missing, and it does still
Mm-hmm.
take human intervention. And if business isn't your
Yeah.
forte, have someone take a look over it. And I don't know where it
Mm-hmm.
is or what it's like over by where you are, but here are resource librarians can give you access to a lot of different resources. If you
Mm-hmm.
create something with a
Mm-hmm.
strategy or like with a bot to create a strategy or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
you can actually connect to your resource librarian and they will have someone review it. And if they don't do it
Mm-hmm.
themselves, that's something
Mm-hmm.
they connect you with free services through their community. And that's good to know too. And I would definitely peer review, put it in front of other entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
Again, get that feedback. Um, excellent, excellent option. Not that it's going to put me out of business, but
Yeah,
I I
definitely.
do see it as something for me to be aware of because anybody can access it. But learning to ask the right questions and how to
Hmm.
digest it on the other end is so important. Because like you said, you can get an idea and get a plan and go after it and it doesn't work out and then where are you? And if you don't know that it was, well,
Hmm.
what were you feeding it? That's not the right thing to look at. I was looking at one company today that does exactly this.
Hmm.
They sell a solution and you have this platform and you put in the data, and they were talking about how important it is not to put in the micro data, like 1,000 clients had this kind of impression and this is the
Hmm.
demographics. Like, no, that's
Hmm.
not going to be what their tool is for. They want to see, like,
Hmm.
how many people are you putting, how many had feedback, and you know is the strategy,
Hmm.
so that strategization is very different. But if you're putting in too fine a detail, you're going to miss what it
Hmm.
actually is good at pulling out.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
explore that, ask questions, be curious, get it cross reviewed.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I look forward
exactly,
to
exactly.
learning more about you teaching me how to get the bot set up, though.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. We will follow up on this one. I'm still learning as well. Like the
Yeah.
custom GPT and building bots. That's already something I already honed or skilled. But the second step, the AI bots, is something I am currently like working on. So there will be a lot of information on my social media about this particular AI
Yeah.
solution. And and I, just came to my mind like now that, so you would you say that you do not recommend to use AI blindly, meaning that whatever comes out I already use it?
Yeah, don't do that. And you know what's funny is I can look at a lot of artwork that comes out of AI. You can show me four pieces of artwork, and if three are made by AI, different AI, and a fourth is made by a human, I can usually tell you not only which ones are AI, but
Mm-hmm.
which ones come from which
Mm-hmm.
machine. Because
Mm-hmm.
Midjourney's
Yeah.
style looks different than Chatty, and Chatty looks very
Yeah.
different than Bing. And I see Bing
Mm-hmm.
stuff and I see these advertisements come up on Facebook and other
Yes.
platforms, and sometimes I'm terrible. I will call them out. I'll be like, "Hey, was this the Bing platform that you used to create this?"
Yeah.
you know? And and
Oh.
it does. It takes an awareness that those of us who use AI all the time, we see it. I'm sure you can tell, right? And
Yeah,
you were
definitely.
talking. Oh,
Well,
go ahead.
yeah, go on.
I was gonna say that the other thing
Yeah.
is they all have their limitations. Midjourney, I love Midjourney. I swear by Midjourney. It's absolutely top of the line. You know what it can't do? Cochlear implants. It doesn't know what it is. I have uploaded images and been like, I just want some representation, like actual deaf community. This is what the
Mm-hmm.
deaf community looks like. You know what else it can't do? Controllers in the hand. I was just trying to get the
Mm-hmm.
family flying drones. Oh, we see drones all the time. We have video games. Everybody has controllers. But all the pictures that it
Yeah.
looks at, it's sitting upright, right? So you can see the whole front. But when people play games, they hold it like this. So it was
Mm-hmm.
this weird, like, they didn't know where the thumbs went. You could see the whole front of it. It was very bizarre. They have their limitations. On
Yeah.
the what is it called? Oh, Chatty, when you ask Chatty for an image, it automatically pulls it out of
Mm-hmm.
DALL-E. Now, I think you have to have the
Yeah.
paid subscription in order to use that feature. You can
Mm-hmm.
also upload, and
Mm-hmm.
this is one thing I do like if you're going to use cross-platform, which I do encourage this, and use the AI to check each other. That's brilliant. Like if you're not
Mm-hmm.
sure but you want to
Oh, yeah.
explore, tell the AI to check each other. But upload an image and then ask ChatGPT to describe it, and then ask it
Mm-hmm.
to explain it a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more to you, like you're not too bright. And you can say, like, I'm not, like I'm dumb, or like I'm not so smart. And it will delve into it and it will dig it out and it'll give you
Mm-hmm.
styles and it'll know, like this is a vector image or whatever. And then you
Mm-hmm.
can take those
Mm-hmm.
words, pull out all the emotional stuff. Don't make a real sentence. Make it just word salad,
Mm-hmm.
just the words that you think are important. Put that gobbledygook into Midjourney, and Midjourney will make a good image. Because
Mm-hmm.
Dolly, Dolly will get the
That's correct.
parts. it does not often make sense when it's put together. If you're looking for something specific, if you're not looking for
Mm-hmm.
something specific, because of the protections that Chatty uses, I know it's really heightened to not allow sensitive materials, to not
Mm-hmm.
exactly recreate things. They neither one is particularly great at replicating the same design or the same model. It's not what it's for.
Mm-hmm.
Midjourney is working on it, and they have training sessions to show you how to do it. It mostly works sometimes.
Yes.
And it's in its infancy, right? Like, yeah, it's got 100 IQ, but that's 100 IQ for like a toddler. you know,
Yeah,
this is a sliding
exactly.
scale, and we're gonna have so
Yeah.
much more come out of this, and we're on the ground floor learning it. I do want to put that out there. Like, they communicate differently. Canva, do not give a paragraph of detail of what you want to come out of that image. It doesn't. It does like 5 to 7 words. 5 to 7 words is what you get. That anything beyond that, it starts getting kind of convoluted. And I know Bing will just
Yes.
straight up ignore a lot of stuff after a certain point. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the character limitations, but Midjourney can take a lot of data. And I know with the new update,
Mm-hmm.
Chatty can take a huge amount
Mm-hmm.
of data, and it just keeps
Mm-hmm.
on. It will actually do the opposite though. It will cut you off after a certain amount of data being put out.
Yes.
And I didn't used to do that, but I hit that limit a couple times, and now it's like, if you want to do this, this is how you write the program to do that. I'm like, oh, okay, we're that's a whole other level.
Okay.
Great, now teach me how to
Interesting.
program. But yeah,
I tried that part. It doesn't work for me, so I'm not a Python engineer. So it's
oh, that's just going to be the next one. Whatever the next bit is, they'll merge them. I'm
exactly.
sure it'll be a year out. Well, you were
Yeah.
saying Midjourney. Midjourney has these, like, I like, I think it's 4. 5 is the newest, but 4 really was like a golden era. Which again, it was only like
Hmm.
8 months long, but it is what it is. It's
Yeah.
really creative.
Exactly.
They were trying some new things, but they were talking about wanting to make it Star Trek. They're like, no, our next big
Mm-hmm.
thing that we want to get to the end of by the end of 2024 is the holodeck. We want to make it 3D where you build the world and then you walk through it in
Mm-hmm.
VR. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
sign me up.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds amazing.
Sign me up. Exactly. Then we will have all those discussions with people. Like the views, like then you will be able to talk to Lincoln, for example, or Steve Jobs, or whoever is not here on this
Yeah.
world anymore, right? That would be really awesome to have an assistant like Steve Jobs sitting next to you, like a hologram or the VR or whatever tool you would use. So, and I believe that might be a really interesting way of how AI is also developing. So
Yeah.
I actually, just sitting and listening to you, because there is so much value in the conversation, and I believe that using AI is something what was not here. It's now really open to everybody. You
Mm.
can just go and use whatever bot you need and want. Basically, the question here is Midjourney, definitely something I strongly recommend. Discord is not so complicated, so if you feel that you are not good enough or you lack some knowledge, contact me or Courtney. She's also good in Midjourney, as you see and hear. So we can help you to get some skills on this topic. And I like to somehow close this podcast, and I'm not sure what would be the best way. So I would like to go now a little different way. Today I was looking at your LinkedIn, and the last post you share, probably last, maybe one before, was about books you read, right? And a lot of inspiration you got from books. And I'm not sure. I have wrote down into my notes 2 books I strongly recommend to whoever is listening. The one is Building a Second Brain from Tiago Forte. That book changed my life completely. It's not AI, but you can still use AI if you want to build your second brain. That's not that's the whole key. But the book was mind blowing and really life changing for me. And the second book I really strongly recommend as well. It can be used as an AI reference. Is Atomic Habits. Those 2 books are really something, probably the best ones I read in this year or last year as well. So The question is now, what book do you recommend, or
Ooh.
you do recommend to our listeners?
Oh man. Well, I'm like looking around. I'm like, I want to go look at my bookshelf because there's one, I think it's called, it's either 31% or 33%. And then there's one called Algorithms to Live By, which very much feeds into
Algorithms to live
this.
by.
Yeah, Algorithms to
Okay.
Live By. That one was
Mm-hmm.
absolutely outstanding, but it was also a little bit nerdy, and it talked about
Mm-hmm.
kind of how numbers and patterns represent our world, and we don't even realize
Mm-hmm.
the computer that's inside our skull, right? And that we're always doing these calculations, and it just spelled it out in very everyday layman's terms, but it was so like deep thinking,
Mm-hmm.
high level, very good. And the other one, the one I'm reading right now, it's a New York Times bestseller. It's called Limitless. And I try to get everything
Limitless.
from the library.
Okay. Oh yeah, that one I have seen on the in that post. The Jim Quick,
Yeah,
right?
so
Limitless. Okay.
that's probably how I was doing a just a little freebie class on public speaking, and he came up and
Mm-hmm.
spoke. And again, my interest in psychology and speaking, but he had a brain injury and he was using
Mm-hmm.
techniques to learn. And it's funny, the book itself it's a tool. It's got a lot of resources and it's got worksheet style pages in there as well as anecdotes, but it basically teaches you to do things in shorter chunks, which everything that I read about it,
Mm-hmm.
it's such high quality psychology. These are things that I went to
Mm-hmm.
college for years to learn, and not just mnemonics like memorizing things, but really how to apply it, how to learn it, how to get it into your
Mm-hmm.
hypothalamus for long-term memory, and
Mm-hmm.
understanding those tactics and why they work so that you can not exploit. That's my brain is like to
Mm-hmm.
exploit them because that's a video game or programmer language, but yeah, to absolutely optimize it.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Those
cool.
people,
Thanks for sharing.
yeah.
That's
It,
on my
that
list,
book
and
is not a
everything
gimmick.
what is said is already. Yeah, exactly. Everything what we said today is already being transcribed by the tool we are using, Riverside. So I will not forget that one because I will run the transcript through Claude and I will ask like, what was the book Courtney recommend to me?
Yeah.
Like, what was she talking about in that minute? So
That's Can I ask you, do
everything
you
is,
use any
yeah,
programs
yeah,
for meetings? Because I used to use Otter AI and I really, really liked it. But I
yeah,
know
yeah.
there's a
I
whole
let
bunch
me
now.
just yeah, it's a little bit off topic. Let me just go into and I'll use a tool. It's called TLDV.
The LDP.
So that's the tool you can TLDV. Yes, it should be a blue icon
Okay.
like a dot and yeah, and it works with Teams and Zoom. So you just send you the link to the meeting. You do not need to, like attend that meeting
Right.
anymore. It records everything. It works really well. Sometimes it disconnects in the
Oh,
middle. So if that meeting is really important, then like be sure that you attend.
right.
But for the low value or high buy meetings, I used to call them in the corporate world, when the presence is not required, then I recommend it. It records really nicely old conversation. It will sum it up to you and it will send you an email like these were like all the points you discussed in that meeting. So TLDV, that's a tool I am testing currently.
Thank you.
You are welcome. So, Courtney, is there anything else you would like to say at the end?
Man, just get out there and do the thing. Live a purpose driven life and figure out what you don't want to do so you can do more of what you do want to do. And then do it.
Hmm. That's a good one. That's a good one. I will take this one and think it through tomorrow. Yeah, do think about things you don't like to do. That's something, and AI can help you to, to.
Right. I like these 50 things, but I super don't like these things. Like, what should I do? They used to be called
Yeah,
aptitude
exactly.
tests, but we're gonna up the ante. Let's patent that, okay? You and me, we came up with it just
Yeah,
now, and it has to talk like a valley girl,
exactly.
okay?
Exactly. Exactly. So we definitely stay in touch. I would like to really jump
Yeah.
into your Midjourney experience. We can talk about custom GPT and custom chat GPT and so on. And so, yeah, thank you very much for the discussions. I believe it was really a powerful one.
Thank you. It's such a joy to be here. I appreciate you giving me this avenue and this platform to speak and hear you, and I feel very seen and heard. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm happy to hear that. So thank you very much, Courtney, and take care.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.